Well, for me, I think that, obviously the martial arts and fighting, and doesn't matter if it's mixed martial arts, if it's wrestling, if it's Muay Thai, if it's, JiuJitsu, you're figuring out under live pressure what's working and what's not. It's a close, I'd say mixed martial arts is somewhat as close as you're going to get to a one-on-one fight with someone else where everything can happen, right? And it's usually people that are pretty well trained and able to elbow, able to knee, able to take somebody down, punch their face in, choke them, and dominate position, right? So, so to me, it's a training ground. It's just another training method that gets you closer to reality. But like Todd says, a real self-defense situation, you're not training for it. You're meaning okay, I got to warm up, getting ready for this thing. Here we go. That's a fight. You're just attacked. And it might be one person, two people, a whole bunch of people. You're inside your car. You're in a house. You're on pavement. You're all over the place. Stuff that you never really, like Todd always says it, and we've always said it just in fighting as well. You can't repeat a fight, a real fight, punch for punch, blow for blow. It's different. And now you add the element of complete surprise. You're not ready. Who knows what you're wearing? It might be in your dress tux with those slippery, stupid shoes, and you get attacked. Now you got to fight. All right,
Todd, what have you got to add to that?
I think that some of the confusion that's out there is that sport fighting and self-defense, that the training and preparation for it is mutually exclusive. Like somehow they don't intersect. There's no Venn diagram there. And to me, that couldn't be further from the truth. We can use the sport training a lot so that we can prepare for real resistance and managing the real energies of the fight to give us a superior advantage, as long as we're being intellectually honest about the context is different, that the context dictates the strategy. So for example, when I roll in Greg's classes, for example, 4 out of 5 rounds that I roll in my no-gi submission grappling classes, I'm rolling as if I'm armed. Okay, so I'm always thinking about that context. 1 out of 5 rounds, I just have fun and I roll for sport and I don't think about my weapon, and I can extract. This is a tip that I got from Greg many years ago. I can extract bits and pieces from sport that I can apply to my specific context. So we need to know when those things overlap and how we can use them for, a mutual advantage. But we also need to be intellectually honest about where the separation takes place at the same time.
Coach Greg, is that disruptive to the flow of your class when somebody comes in with these intentions? Or how does that work? Talk to me about that.
Not at all, because to me, I'm always talking about grapple in the way that you want to develop what you want to develop. So sometimes I'll talk about, hey, if you're going to go into a sport tournament, grapple as if. If you're doing this for self-defense, grapple as if. All right? So you have to figure out and then you'll find where the crossover is, what I would do. And for me, I look at it like this. I look at the techniques that work in a sports situation, that would work in an MMA fight, where now you have a little bit more risk of serious bodily damage, that would work in a real fight. And if I see a technique that crosses over all those barriers, that to me is a high priority technique. That one is, I don't have to think now. I don't have to think.
And he'll actually point that out in the classes. Like he'll stop and point out where the common denominators are between all of these different contexts. And one of the things I really love about having learned from Greg is he encourages that kind of creativity. Greg is and that's one of the things that we share in our mindset, is where we are anti-dogma, in so many ways. And so he allows, he takes that Bruce Lee philosophy of what does he say about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? What does Greg say, right? He says, or who was it that said it, Greg? Like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu should fit you. You shouldn't fit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, Jean-Jacques Machado. Yeah.
Yeah. So he allows each individual to develop their own style based on what their priorities and what their attributes and what their context is.
Well, that would require the student to know those things to begin with.
Yeah, and
they would need to know why they're doing this, why they're in your class.
Yeah, and sometimes they have no clue at first. They're coming in just because they want to do the martial arts. It seems super fun. And then as they start to roll, sometimes their eyes open up and then they start taking off from different paths, you know, and I try to reiterate a lot of times in my classes that, remember, this was originally developed to defend yourself. Don't forget that. Don't get so lost down the sport competition rabbit hole that you forget about getting your face punched and your head slammed against the pavement.
You ain't see him coming, you just heard drums. They've been ready for the battle. Any person that comes got the weight of the world on them. Yeah, they too strong. I might have been down, not out. It's on sight, you gon' figure that out. And I might have been down.